This morning, you made chai, filled up petrol, bought vegetables from the corner. 94 rupees and 77 paise at the pump in Delhi. 103 rupees in Mumbai. Dal on the shelf. Rice available. Nothing missing. Everything felt normal. But while you were standing at that pump, crude oil was burning at $119 a barrel. While you were buying that dal, fertilizer prices had jumped 50% in 30 days. While you were paying at that vegetable cart, the shipping lanes that feed India were half closed. The pump price didn't move. The dal looked okay. The shelves were full. Everything felt normal. That is exactly what they wanted you to feel. Because the government knows something it hasn't told you. The price at the pump is not the real price. The dal you bought this week is not next month's price. You are not living in a stable economy. You are living inside a number that someone froze. Not because things are okay, but because votes are coming. And when those votes are counted, the number unfreezes. And everything you didn't know was about to change already has. Let's find out. Now here is something the government doesn't want you to connect. At the petrol pump, Delhi, 94 rupees and 77 paise. Mumbai, 103 rupees. Unchanged, calm, stable. Retail petrol and diesel prices have been frozen since April 2022. Even as global crude hit $119 per barrel. Looks like good news, right? But look more carefully. On March 20th, oil marketing companies quietly hiked industrial diesel prices by 22 rupees per litre, from 87 rupees and 67 paise to 109 rupees and 59 paise in Delhi, a 25% jump overnight. Industrial diesel is the fuel that runs every factory in India, every cold storage unit, every food processing plant, every truck that carries your onions, tomatoes, dal, and rice. Your petrol pump price didn't move. But the price of moving everything you need to survive, that jumped 25%. And it gets more interesting. Private fuel retailer Nayara Energy hiked petrol by 5 rupees and diesel by 3 rupees because they simply cannot absorb the losses. So the government-controlled pumps, IOC, HPCL, BPCL, are bleeding money quietly, absorbing the loss, protecting you from the number at the pump. But why? With state elections approaching in West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, and Assam, the government is keen to avoid any fuel price hike that could become a political issue. Let me translate that for you. Your petrol price is not stable because the market is stable. Your petrol price is stable because there are elections coming. The oil companies are bleeding. The government is covering the wound with election timing. And when the elections are done, the dam will break. Analysts say if crude stays above $110 per barrel, a 3 to 5 rupees hike is unavoidable. At $125 crude, prices need to rise 8 to 14 rupees per litre. That hike will come. The only question is, which election needs to finish first? And while you're waiting for that answer, the damage has already started showing up in your kitchen. Right now. Today. March 2026. The first 19 days of March alone have already seen price increases across tur dal, arhar dal, and moong dal, confirmed by the RBI's own data. Edible oil prices rose 5% in March alone. A pack of Petrol in Mumbai, 50 rupees last week, 75 rupees this week. LPG cylinder prices jumped 60 rupees in early March, hitting 913 rupees. Commercial cylinders used by restaurants spiked by over 115 rupees. Result? Menus trimmed, food prices higher, some eateries shut entirely. And all of this is just the beginning. Because the real shock hasn't arrived yet. It's still 6 months away, growing underground. Like a seed nobody planted intentionally. Here is the connection nobody is making clearly. Your dal does not come from Iran. Your onions do not come from the Middle East. Your rice is grown right here in India. So how does a war in West Asia raise prices in your kitchen? The answer is one word: fertilizer. The Strait of Hormuz is not just an oil choke point, it is a fertilizer choke point. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Oman, and Iran together supply a substantial share of the world's traded urea and phosphates, and virtually all of it transits Hormuz. Urea is what makes your crops grow. Without urea, wheat yields fall, rice yields fall, dal yields fall, onion yields fall. Since the war began, the cost of urea has jumped from $400 to $490 per metric ton to around $700 per metric ton. A 50% increase in less than 30 days. India imports nitrogen fertilizers as well as natural gas to produce them domestically. India faces high exposure to these shortages. Now think about what this means for an Indian farmer. He needs to plant his kharif crop in the next few weeks. The seeds are ready. The land is ready. But the fertilizer, either unavailable or unaffordable, or both. What he plants or doesn't plant today determines what you pay at the vegetable market in September, October, November. The war is not in your kitchen yet, but it has already entered the field that feeds your kitchen. I want you to meet someone. His name is Rajan. He farms 3 acres in Vidarbha, wheat and dal. He has farmed this land his entire life. His father farmed it. His grandfather farmed it. Every year, Rajan buys fertilizer in March to prepare for his kharif sowing. He budgets for it, plans for it. The cost is predictable. His life is built around that predictability. This March, the fertilizer supplier called him. Price has gone up. Stock is limited. Cannot guarantee supply. Rajan didn't start this war. He doesn't know where Iran is on a map. He has never heard of the Strait of Hormuz. But this month, a war he knows nothing about is deciding whether he can afford to plant the crop that will feed your family in October. The Indian government has scrambled to secure 13.5 lakh tons of urea via global tenders to build a buffer. But the increased procurement costs are expected to balloon the government's subsidy bill and eventually increase the overall cost of food production. The government is trying, but Rajan is still waiting. And your October grocery bill is being written right now, in a field in Vidarbha, by a man who just wants to plant his crop. Now, here is what the data is telling us about the next 6 months. Experts say the scale of the price shock will depend heavily on how long shipping disruptions persist. But the chain reaction has already started. Analysts warn this could be worse than the Russia-Ukraine fertilizer shock of 2022 because it impacts major crops simultaneously across multiple geographies. Chatham House. Here is the timeline you need to understand. Right now, March 2026. Fertilizer prices already up 50%. LPG up, diesel up, edible oil up 5%. Your grocery bill is already rising. 3 months from now, June 2026, Kharif sowing season. If fertilizer is unavailable or unaffordable, farmers plant less or use less fertilizer per acre. Crop yields fall before harvest even begins. 6 months from now, September 2026, harvest arrives, but smaller than expected. Less dal in the market, less wheat, less rice, less everything. Food inflation not as a spike, but as a sustained new normal. And here is the number that should genuinely concern you. Food and fuel account for between 30% and 50% of consumer spending in emerging market economies like India. This makes India particularly vulnerable to externally driven price shocks. Meaning, if food prices rise 20%, the impact on an Indian family is double the impact on a European or American family. Same war, same price rise, double the pain. Now, I will not leave you here, because Shadow Post doesn't just explain the problem. It tells you what to do with that knowledge. Here is what a smart Indian family does in the next 30 days. 1. Stock non-perishable staples now. Dal, rice, wheat flour, cooking oil. Not panic buying, smart buying. At current prices before the September shock. 2. Watch your LPG consumption. The shortage is real. Cylinder availability will tighten further before it improves. 3. If you invest in stocks, look at Indian FMCG companies carefully. Crude-linked inputs account for 25 to 35% of the overall FMCG sector. Rising input costs will squeeze margins. This is not investment advice, but it is a data point worth understanding. 4. And this one is important. Watch the government's next move on MSP, minimum support price for farmers. If the government raises MSP to help Rajan, food prices for you will follow upward. It is a necessary decision, but it has a direct cost. The war is 3,000 kilometers away. Its effects on your wallet are already here. Understanding it is the first step to preparing for it. Here is what I want you to remember. The missile that was fired in the Middle East did not land in India, but its shockwave is moving through every shipping lane, every gas pipeline, every fertilizer bag, every farm field, directly toward your kitchen table. It will arrive in September. Most people will not understand why their grocery bill suddenly jumped. They will blame the vendor. They will blame the government. They will not know about Rajan. They will not know about Hormuz. They will not know about Urea. But you do. Because you watched this video. Because you found Shadow Post. We connect the dots between the world's biggest events and your smallest daily costs. Every single week. Subscribe, because next week we go even deeper. We show you exactly which Indian food items will be hit hardest and which ones are surprisingly safe. That video could save your family real money in real rupees. I will see you there.